Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tracing a really fascinating journey. How a massive, totally abstract business idea securely transforms into a physical, value-generating asset on your balance sheet using SAP Investment Management. Picture this. Your manufacturing plant urgently needs a brand new, fully automated production line, and it's going to cost a cool $15 million. Now, that is an incredibly exciting prospect for the business, but let's be honest, it's also a massive operational and financial undertaking. That's the kind of number that'll make any CFO sweat, right? It's a huge financial commitment, and that brings us to the big question. How does an enterprise actually govern this massive spend from that very first pitch all the way to final depreciation? I mean, how do we make absolutely sure that $15 million is spent correctly, tracked perfectly, and capitalized legally? Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to cover the capital investment lifecycle, proposing the big idea, funding the vision, choosing the execution engine, protecting the budget, and finally, construction to capitalization. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The capital investment lifecycle, structuring the journey. So you really have to think of SAP Investment Management not just as some basic budgeting transaction, but as a fully integrated governance framework. The entire life cycle seamlessly connects your strategic business case approval, the budget distribution, purchasing commitments, and finally, fixed asset accounting. It's essentially a closed-loop system. We're tracking a unified data flow from boardroom strategy straight to the factory floor and right into the general ledger. Moving on to Section 2, proposing the big idea. The appropriation request. Every major capital spend begins with an idea, which in the SAP world is formalized as an appropriation request. You can think of this pre-authorization object as a digital container for your business case. It lets you evaluate strategic relevance, financial estimates, and risks way before committing a single dollar. It holds all that justification data long before anyone gets the official green light to start spending. And here's where it gets really powerful. Under just one single request, we can evaluate multiple variants. So say a $3 million equipment upgrade versus a premium $15 million fully automated line. We can put them side by side and compare their net present value, internal rate of return, and payback periods before management even selects the official execution path. It's completely data-driven. Section 3, funding the vision, distributing the capital envelope. Okay, so the executives approve our production line. Great. Now it actually has to be funded through investment programs. Think of the budget as a physical envelope of cash that gets distributed top-down through a hierarchy. It starts in the corporate boardroom and flows all the way down to our specific plans project. This just ensures that bottom-level projects are legally drawing funds from that overarching corporate master budget. Now, the crucial point here, and people get this mixed up all the time, is distinguishing between two concepts. The plan is a bottom-up expectation of costs, usually built by the engineers. It's what we think it'll cost. But the budget, that is the strictly authorized top-down financial ceiling set by management. That number is your absolute limit. Section 4, choosing the execution engine, how we actually build this thing. All right, budget envelope is firmly in hand. Now we have to select our operational execution engine. We generally have to choose between two main objects here. A simple internal order for basic, straightforward acquisitions, like, say, buying a company truck, or a work breakdown structure, which we call a WBS element. If you're coordinating engineers, contractors, and multiple deliverables over 18 months, yeah, you absolutely need the hierarchical power of a WBS. Looking at our decision matrix here, our new production line obviously involves multiple phases, new buildings, complex control systems, the whole shebang. It falls squarely into the category of a major installation. So for sure, we are going to execute this using a project and WBS structure. No question. Section 5, protecting the budget. The guardrails of availability control. So the engineers are excited, they start cutting purchase orders. We need a mechanism to stop rogue spending dead in its tracks. Enter availability control, or AVAC. This literally acts as the lock on the vault. It converts that passive budget into a strict operational guardrail. AVAC is always watching, calculating your available funds in real time by subtracting actuals and commitments from the released budget. Watch how aggressively the system escalates this. As those POs consume the budget, hitting 80% gets you a gentle tap on the shoulder. Hit 90% and the project controller gets a formal alert. But try to push past 100%? No way. The transaction is flat out rejected with a hard posting block. You literally cannot issue that PO without crawling back to management to beg for a budget supplement. Finally, Section 6, Construction to Capitalization, the big transformation. We are in the final act now. The heavy machinery arrives and construction costs are really accumulating. When our project is released, SAP automatically creates what's called an Asset Under Construction, or AUC. You can think of this as a temporary holding bucket for all those capitalizable supplier invoices. Because we're building something over a span of many months, the AUC safely parks these costs on the balance sheet until the asset is truly ready to go live. The financial momentum flows perfectly through these steps. Costs hit the project, settle into our AUC bucket during the construction phase, and finally transfer out to a fixed asset. The moment the engineers mark the project as technically complete, boom, that AUC bucket is emptied, and all that accumulated value is permanently moved to the final fixed asset master record. So, what does this all mean? It means our massive abstract idea from step 1 is now a fully capitalized asset, and it's triggering standard depreciation. But more importantly, we can now track actual operational savings. We can finally run our return on invested capital metrics and prove to the board with hard data that our $15 million gamble paid off exactly the way we promised it would. SAP Investment Management flawlessly handles the operational execution and control, locking down that budget and keeping everything compliant. But I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Does your organization also need to integrate SAP Analytics Cloud? A modern enterprise might just need that AI-driven, multi-year forecasting capability to truly master their capital portfolio. It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gave you a clear, confident path through the capital investment lifecycle.